All right, let's talk about this for one good goddamn minute. Arielle Scarcella just put out 39 minutes ago. New video. A couple interesting things just right off the bat, right? Just right off the bat. Dead naming a newly out trans person in the title of a video, because in case you aren't aware, Elliot page came out. There's a tweet that he put out earlier. Let's just pull it up real quick. He came out as trans. Here's the letter he put out. It was super nice and heartfelt, and it kind of sucks because he also like foresaw that he was going to encounter a lot of hate, since that's pretty common. And whoa, would you look at that? Why are we losing all of our biological women? Lesbians, non-binary, queer, and other labels are being used anything besides gay women. Damn, Elliot. You can tell the future. It's only a 6-minute video. I'm literally studying for finals right now, but fuck it. You know what? Just fuck it. All right? She is a hypocrite. She's a grifter, right? Because she always maintains, oh, I'm a good trans ally. Oh, I have trans friends who totally affirm my beliefs. Oh, I have trans friends who totally think that I'm not transphobic. I am so interested in hearing how this dead naming a trans person, a newly outed trans person, and also complaining about why are we losing all of our biological women lesbians. I really want to hear how this isn't transphobic. Because I honestly cannot conceive of someone who can legitimately believe that they aren't like peddling anti-trans propaganda or rhetoric and say these kind of things. Like, I have to believe that either she knowingly does what she does because she's grifting for money, or she's just an idiot. Take it away. Please just take it away from me.
Well, we did it. We lost another lesbian, guys.
All trans men are just lost lesbian sisters. Why is the trans agenda just claiming all of our lesbians? God, I just want to fuck the fucking trans men because I actually see them as lesbians. I don't actually see them as men, but God, why does the trans agenda have to take them away from me so I can't fuck them? Like, I'm sorry, Arielle, that you're not attracted to this person anymore because they're a man. I'm very sorry that your dating pool has been shrunk from this much to this much.
I was filming content for my OnlyFans page. Subscribe if you haven't already.
Don't do that. Also, the grift.
And I got flooded with messages from you guys telling me that the person formerly known as Ellen Page is now going by Elliot.
Also dead naming. Don't do this. You could have a drinking game where you drink to all the times that Arielle's gonna dead name a trans person.
Page. They now go by he, they pronouns. They came out as trans. Let's see what's up. Hi friends, I want to share with you that I am trans. My pronouns are he and they, and my name is Elliot. I can't begin to express how remarkable it feels to finally love who I am enough to pursue my authentic self. I love that I am trans, and I love that I am queer, and the more I hold myself close and fully embrace who I am, the more I dream, the more my heart grows, and the more I thrive. Thank you for reading this. All my love, Elliot. My response is basically this. If he is truly trans, good for fucking him. There is still a huge...
Why are we losing all of our biological women lesbians? That definitely translates to good for fucking him.
Huge issue at large. And that is, why are we losing all of our lesbians? Why are we not seeing
all of our lesbians? God, I just want to fuck them, but they're being robbed by trans ideology. It can't possibly be, oh, you know, some people actually just happen to realize some things about themselves later on in life as they're being introduced to newer concepts in society that are able to give them language to be able to deal with internalized feelings that they've had for a while but haven't been able to deal with in an adequate fashion, right? It has to be, it's the trans ideology. The trans ideology is stealing away our lost lesbian sisters. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get why. Like, fuck it. All right?
This trend as frequently with gay men. I said this to Elliot on Twitter. Much respect for the Elliot page for coming out as trans. I still wonder, though, where are all the lesbians going? Two things can be true at once. One, some people are actually trans. Two, some lesbians are internally misogynistic and want to be anything other than a woman.
All right, so listen. This is literally just concern trolling. If this is the claim that she's trying to make, then the fact that she's putting, why are we losing all of our biological women lesbians, and also dead naming a trans person in the title of a video about them, this indicates that she doesn't see Elliot as a fucking guy. She doesn't care two rats' asses about that, all right? She sees him as a fucking lost lesbian sister. That's all that this is. This is just trying to make herself seem more palatable so that people don't call her out as easily.
And I stand by that. Now, I've made at least 2 videos about this topic in the past, but for those of you who haven't seen those videos, I'm going to give you a little TLDR. There have been studies recently in the last 5 years that followed high school teenagers. One of them showed that biological women are coming out more as anything other than lesbians. Another study showed that people that are coming out...
Hold on. So this doesn't really mean anything. Like, maybe there are just, like, more trans women than lesbians. Or maybe there are just more trans people than lesbians. That doesn't say anything about, like, whether or not there are, like, that doesn't say anything inherently negative about, like, the nature of why people choose those identifications inherently. Because all studies are out right now show that overwhelmingly when trans people choose to undergo, like, some kind of gender affirming treatment or choose to come out and transition, like, the results are overwhelmingly positive, right? And the only times when they're not, or people choose to detransition or choose to go back into the closet, are as a result of social factors, right? Not having to do with coming out as trans, but rather society's reception of that and subsequent treatment of trans people. So to say that there's been more people coming out as trans, yeah, that's probably true, right? Like, over the past couple of years, there's going to be more people coming out as trans as society starts to become, like, more accepting of trans people. That doesn't say anything negative about society. In fact, it says something positive about it, that we are becoming more accepting and inclusive of trans people, right? That's all that this says.
Another study showed that people that are coming out as transgender are more likely to be accepted and protected among their peers and the educational staff. In the same breath, we were also seeing...
Okay. Congratulations, trans people are starting to become more accepted in society. Hooray.
Tons of biological females transition medically and socially, and then later on regretting it. Tons of detransitioners.
Okay. And again, back to this, we have studies about this. All right, we have plenty of fucking academic peer-reviewed literature. We don't need to just talk, like, fucking out of our asses on this. All right. Okay. Cool. Question: does gender affirming care does gender affirmation demonstrably help transgender youth? Oh wait, hold on. There's a better one. Here we go. Does gender affirmation demonstrably help transgender people, right? People who come out and choose to undergo medical transition. How does that care actually affect them? Let's talk about some evidence. According to the American Psychological Association, gender variant and gender nonconforming people are being denied gender-appropriate transition-related medical and mental health care, despite evidence that appropriately evaluated individuals benefit from gender transition treatments. Therefore, the APA recognizes the efficacy, benefit, and medical necessity of gender transition treatments for appropriately evaluated individuals and calls upon the public and private insurers to cover these medically necessary treatments. Additionally, Cornell University conducted a systematic literature review of all peer-reviewed articles published in English between 1991 and June 2017 that assesses the effects of gender transition on transgender well-being. They identified 55 studies that consist of primary research on this topic, of which 51 or 93% found that gender transition improves the overall well-being of transgender people, while 4 or 7% reported mixed or null feelings. They also found no studies at all concluding that gender transition causes overall harm. What they found was that a robust international consensus in the peer-reviewed literature that gender transition, including medical treatments such as hormone therapy and surgeries, improves the overall well-being of transgender individuals. The literature also indicates that the greater availability of medical and social support for gender transition contributes to better quality of life for those who identify as transgender. They also found that the factors that are predictive of success in treatment of gender dysphoria include adequate preparation and mental health support prior to treatment, follow-up care from knowledgeable providers, consistent family and social support, and high-quality surgical outcomes when surgery is involved. Additionally, in another meta-analysis of studies concerning individuals who underwent sex reassignment surgery, researchers found that after sex reassignment, 80% of individuals with GID reported significant improvements in gender dysphoria, 78% reported significant improvements in psychological symptoms, 80% reported significant improvement in quality of life, and 72% reported significant improvement in sexual function. Additionally, like, y'all see how much fucking evidence there is on this? Riley, you should have seen her tweet about comparing Jews in the Holocaust to Trump supporters. Say, what? Are you goddamn serious? Oh my god, this person. Overwhelmingly, when people come out as trans and go into, like, gender affirming care, they're overwhelmingly satisfied with the results. And then the people who do detransition, the very few, like, literally less than, like, 4 or 5% of people who do, the primary reasons why they do isn't because of the fact that they were, like, wrong about being trans, but rather because of the lack of social support or how society treated them after the fact. And so like the anecdotal, oh, but what about these lost lesbians who tried transitioning because they hated themselves and realized after the fact, and now they've come out and become these giant advocates. These are like the minority of the minority of the minority, all right? They are so non-representative. They're probably like less than 0.1% of the total amount of trans people who actually go into transition, all right? They are not representative. But yet Arielle wants to make them out to be, right? And that's the issue.
That are biological females. We are not seeing this happen nearly as much with males. And of course, we're even questioning, where are all the lesbians going? I get called transphobic. Somebody wrote the lesbians are still here.
It's kind of like the same thing as like people who like actually like this is it's interesting that she would like analogize Trump supporters to the Holocaust, right? Because like she's like doing the same kind of like vague concern trolling that Holocaust deniers will do, right? It's like, oh, I'm not saying I hate trans people. I'm not saying anything necessarily bad about them. I just have questions. I just have reasonable concerns. Why are you all saying that I'm a Holocaust denier? God, y'all are too irrational. Y'all are just jumping to conclusions without any actual evidence.
Here, they just don't like you because you're a transphobic piece of shit. All right, there. I think my friend Claire on Twitter nailed it, and I want to read her tweet.
Yeah, don't actually respond. Just be like, all right, there.
Because I think it sums it up perfectly. I find it depressing how many young lesbians now feel that because they do not perform or feel invested in conventional femininity, they can no longer be women.
This is not representative. People who are like gender non-conforming women are still women, and no one's saying that they can't. It's just that now we live in a society with like more language about gender, and the fact that like people who are assigned a gender at birth do not have to conform to that gender. And whoa, lo and behold, it turns out when you do that, a lot of people who were a different gender from the beginning are now able to recognize that, and they're able to live more authentically as themselves. Weird how that happens. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
And so they shift from identifying as lesbian women to straight men. Compulsory heterosexuality all over again. To her point, no, we are not saying that.
Yeah. So, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to analogize this to the way that lesbians have been oppressed so that we can actually be the real victims here. Now, shut up while we espout that you're brainwashing our lost lesbian sisters and taking them away so that we can't fuck them anymore.
That we don't think Elliot is actually trans. What we are saying is that there is a huge spike in biological...
Then why in your video about him do you dead name him? And literally in the first line of the video about this person complain that all the women are being taken away. Like, let me just read this. Why are we losing all of our biological women lesbians? In a video about Elliot Page.
Females transitioning medically and socially. The fact that it's mostly about 90% females is a red flag for us. We are saying that, yes, obviously, trans men do exist. And
where's the statistic that, like, most of the people who are transitioning are women? And also, she's doing this thing where she's, like, essentializing people down to biology. And I could go on the whole separate rant about, like, how it's actually bad to essentialize people down to, like, simple biological categories. Something I'm reviewing for another video. But... like, this is what TERFs do, right? Is that, like, they don't want to acknowledge, like, fundamentally, they just don't want to acknowledge that trans people can be a gender that's different from what they were, like, different from what they would perceive as or construe as biological sex. That's the thing, is that Arielle doesn't care about trans guys. She just wants to be able to label someone as a biological female and make the entire conversation about that. Period.
Yes, obviously, trans men transition to hopefully alleviate or cure their gender dysphoria, and it has nothing to do with internalized misogyny. We know that trans people are real and trans people exist.
So why does this video exist then? I'm not actually a bigot. I'm just going to say everything a bigot says and then give you, like, the flimsiest disclaimer to try and make it seem like I'm actually not the bigot that everyone can see that I am.
Also, a lot of people that are medically and socially transitioning or just simply identifying as anything other than women because of internalized misogyny.
Here, let me ask you this. Are there any sources on this? Is there any peer-reviewed literature on this? Is there anything to be able to indicate that? Because I can guarantee you there's not one goddamn piece of evidence she could actually provide to be able to support that claim, right? Now, we are able to cite evidence that shows that overwhelmingly, trans people who transition are thoroughly satisfied with their results. And that the vast majority of people who detransition, right, the less than 5% of trans people who choose to detransition, the primary reason that they do, even when they do, is because of social reasons, right? But she won't talk about that because sources are, what sources which contradict my worldview? What's this?
Internalized lesbophobia. Oh my god, look at that. TERFs and start cis-shaming is trending on Twitter at the moment. And these people there...
Yeah, gee, I wonder why. Why are we losing all of our biological women lesbians? Like, I genuinely don't know if she doesn't I cannot conceive of a sane person who doesn't realize that that's like the most TERF talking point in all of TERF talking points.
They're participating in these trends are wondering why the rate of LGBT acceptance is down. They are wondering why so many people, I think 73 million.
The rate? All right, hold on. Again, she's not actually going to provide any evidence for why LGBT acceptance is down. I'm going to make a claim that's going to be just as substantiable as any claim that she's going to make, all right? Because she's going to make a claim right now that's not going to be able to actually be substantiated by any kind of data that she has. Because I know that there isn't data on it because I've looked into the data that she's referencing. I'm going to make a claim that the reason why LGBT acceptance is down right now is because of her and similar people who try to push like especially like trans, but like broadly speaking LGBT propaganda.
Million people voted for Trump because they're sick of the bullshit. They wonder why.
We're back on Trump. This is how you know the grift. We're coming full circle, grift fam. This is about to turn into a Trump video. We know what her audience is. I would challenge anyone who's watching this right now who unironically thinks that Arielle isn't a giant piece of shit to just like legitimately look at yourself and think, all right, she's literally simping for Trump right now. Who do you think that her target who do you think her target audience is? Do you think it's like LGBT people who are like broadly against Trump and who have been like disproportionately negatively affected by Trump, or do you think it's gonna be Trump supporters?
Create content to damage control because honestly we are afraid to lose our rights and even more so our sanity at this point.
I'm afraid of losing my rights, which is why I'm gonna support Trump, the president who's taken away LGBT people's rights during the course of his first term in office. People, I can't.
Let's be real.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with not feeling like the other girls.
In Mars! Oh my god, the whole team is here! The entire team! Holy shit! Oh my fucking god. RGR, go heck and study. I will study after this, all right? No, Arielle has brought it, like she has complained about her lost lesbian sisters being brainwashed, which is like the most stereotypical TERF talking point. She sent for Trump, she sent for Blair, and now she's bringing in fucking trans bra? Fucking trans bra? We're doing a bingo here. I know. I'm going to put so much money down that there's also going to be a fucking Rose of Dawn cameo, all right? I am so fucking ready for it. I just want the whole fucking TERF, True Scum, Transmet Avengers to fucking assemble in this video. I'm ready for it.
And in fact, that's totally normal. However, there is something obviously wrong in how many girls are now identifying as non-binary.
And also, I defer this to the arguments I made earlier.
And let's not forget how many lesbians are now...
Does anyone remember Mars? Fucking Mars. Oh my god, how's he doing nowadays? Hold on, I'm actually like really curious. Anyway, yeah, totally reputable. Yeah, everyone who's watched me, yeah, totally reputable boyo here. Totally 100%, yeah, definitely knows what he's talking about boyo here. Yeah, totally. Let's go on.
Identifying as non-binary and queer. I mean, imagine coming out as a lesbian today. Imagine saying, hey, I'm same-sex attracted.
Hey, I'm a lesbian, and I'm same-sex attracted. Crazy how that happens. It's almost as if being trans is actually not exclusive with being lesbian. Crazy idea. Could you imagine someone coming out and identifying as lesbian nowadays? Could you imagine someone coming out and identifying as lesbian nowadays? Wait, Riley, are you a lesbian? Or are you just saying that for me? No, I am actually. Yeah, no, 100% lesbian.
I know it sounds really crazy, but doing that today is really controversial and in fact would get you a lot of hate from the LGBT community.
Do y'all hate me now? I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you all may have just discovered that I am in fact a lesbian. I'm sorry. Canceled for being lesbian? That seems to be... Is there a canceled Riley? Hold on. Hey, someone who's good at making emotes, we need a canceled Riley emote.
What gets me about celebrities such as Elliot Page, formerly known as Ellen Page,
also with the dead naming. Holy shit! None of these people can fucking respect a trans person. Mars! You are a trans person! How do you not get this?
That they're coming out as non-binary, but that there is definitely a trend that we're seeing here, right?
Now, well, time to pack it up and head on home, fam. Yep, I know, right?
A lot of girls are identifying as non-binary. Why is that? Why is it controversial to say that? A lot of girls who happen to be lesbians would rather opt out of calling themselves a lesbian and call themselves queer, which is really just for the inclusion
this is saying a lot generally. None of these people have cited to fucking anything, all right? We actually have evidence to be able to cite. I defer back to the sources that we cited earlier, but holy shit. All of this is just like all of these arguments are vague anecdotal evidence, and just general fear-mongering. That's what it is. That's all they've got.
So why is it? Why is it so bad and so wrong to say that you're a woman? Why is it so bad and wrong to say that you're a lesbian today?
Why is it so bad and wrong to say that you're a woman? You know what? I'm so glad. I'm so glad that y'all are so supportive of me, because you know it's super weird, but TERFs and transphobes regularly come out and want to tell me that I'm not a woman and that I'm not a lesbian. But I'm so glad that everyone can get behind the idea that I'm a woman and a lesbian. Thank you so much. Also, I just ripped this off. I have fallen from grace now. Rip. The thing is, they're not talking about trans women. They're talking about like cis women. Yeah, well, here, all right, here, y'all want to know like the really hot take? Like he's trying to do the grift that Blair does, except that the reason why Blair is so popular predominantly is because she's really attractive. He's not exactly able to appeal to the same audience of like old white guys who really fetishize hot young trans women as Blair is able to. Spicy hot take. I don't know. Do with that what you will.
I also find this kind of funny that this is happening a few days after the major court case in London with Keira Bell. For those who don't know, Keira Bell.
The fact that like, all right, and very similarly, same tangent. This, you know, if we're talking about like people who are appealing based primarily or like in large part based off of like a sexualized platform, someone who literally begins their video with a shout out to like their OnlyFans. Do you think that they're doing it just to be sex positive, or do you think that they're doing it as a marketing scheme to try and get more money? You can do with that what you will.
The case is about gender nonconforming youth in the UK. TLDR, again, Keira Bell is a gender nonconforming lesbian who was put on testosterone because she thought she was transgender at just 16 years old, later on regretting it. In fact, statistics show that
the only thing that they're able to pull out is like random anecdotal pieces of evidence. Like random fucking anecdotal pieces of evidence instead of like actual studies on the matter, right? Oh, well, all the studies say that like people who choose to transition or come out as trans are overwhelmingly satisfied with any medical transition results, and the only reason that people detransition, like the less than 5% of people who detransition after choosing to go through medical transition is largely because of social issues. Oh, well, all you have all that data? Oh, well that's awkward because I have one example of one person who fits the narrative that I want, and therefore I must be right. That person must be representative of all of the people that I'm talking about, and that totally validates my concern, regardless of what the rest of the academic literature and the peer-reviewed science actually says on the matters. Arielle, if I fucking don't get a good grade on my business association's final tomorrow, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed at you for fucking putting this on me at 9:17 p.m. the night before an exam. Like, God damn it.
75% of people grow out of gender dysphoria by the age of 25. This is probably because people don't reach full brain development until the age of around 25.
Probably. She actually doesn't have a fucking clue, so all she can do is vaguely speculate.
Keira went to court in London this October to fight for gender nonconforming youth against the system currently put in place over in the UK that medicalizes gender nonconformity. She actually isn't looking for compensation either. She just wants to protect people like herself in the future. To quote my friend Julia's article, medical malpractice has been committed on a global scale because no one will challenge the foundational lie that this, being trans, is in fact a biological condition.
I'm not transphobic. I'm just asking questions and supporting my friend who's passing on a conspiracy that being trans is a medical condition. She's not transphobic. I don't know how anyone could reasonably come to the conclusion that she's transphobic. I just have no idea. I really do not understand how Arielle doesn't get like how people label her as a TERF, because these are like the most stereotypical. I just have vague concerns. I'm just looking out for myself. Why are we losing all of our biological women lesbians? The trans ideology is taking away all of our young lesbians who would grow up to be lesbians that I could fuck because that's what matters to me.
Quote my friend Julia's article, medical malpractice has been committed on a global scale because no one will challenge the foundation. Trans is in. I agree with that. The transgender having a medical condition, a brain-body mix-up, whatever you want to call it, versus simply being gender non-conforming, being actually gay.
No one is saying that young lesbians have to be men. What we are doing, what is happening in broader society, is that as we adopt more trans-inclusive language, as it turns out, magically, amazingly, people who are trans are now able to better realize that because there is the existence of better language in society and more support in society for people who are like that intrinsically, right? And so what we want to make sure is for people who realize that they are trans, with the prevalence of this evidence, with the prevalence of the support that was not existent with, 50, 100 years prior, or even fucking 10 years prior, right? This has been moving crazy fast. Now we're at the point where there are a lot more trans people who are able to realize that they're trans in ways that they were not able to 10, 50, 100 plus years ago. That's what's happening. But you're making this out like, oh, we're convincing young girls who would just otherwise be gender nonconforming that they're trans. And no, there's no evidence for that whatsoever. The only evidence that you're able to provide are random anecdotal one-off instances that go against the massive amount of evidence to the contrary. That's all you have. They are the minority of the minority of the minority of the minority. They are so non-representative that they may as well be like rounded off to like a rounding error, right? And that's not like taking away from the severity of their experiences. Those experiences are real, but that would say more about their individual experiences rather than some like larger social phenomenon of trans ideology stealing away young lost lesbian sisters, right? Like there's just no evidence for it.
Lesbian, bisexual, being a tomboy, being a drag queen, being a more feminine man, being a more masculine woman. These things
are allowed. I'm sorry, hold on. I am not sitting here trying to be the most feminine woman. I'm not sure if that's apparent. Like, I got my hair back in the fucking ponytail, a fucking low-riding ponytail. I'm wearing, like, a sweatshirt. It's not like I got up and did a bunch of makeup. I guess, what, are the colors super uwu feminine? I mean, they are good. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, they are very nice. But yeah, no one's sitting here saying that, like, you have to conform to specific, like, gender presentations. I'd like to think that I specifically go against that a lot of the time. But when you try to tell someone that, oh, you aren't actually you aren't actually a guy, actually you're just a confused lost lesbian, you are literally the one trying to pigeonhole people into being things that they're not. You are the one doing the thing that you are being critical of. I don't think Arielle is so stupid that she doesn't realize this. Like, I don't think that she is so stupid. It's either that she is stupid or that she knows what she's doing and she's grifting.
I spoke my piece. Let me know what you guys think. We're continuing this conversation over on slug.com/Arielle.
Don't go to slug.com. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Is that like the new alt-right like social media platform? Like, what the fuck is slug.com? What the fuck is slug.com? This wasn't supposed to be a segment. I'm gonna go back to studying now. Unfortunately, my prediction did not come true. We did not get a bingo and have also Rose of Dawn mentioned or featured in the video. So you can do with that what you will. You do not win anything from me in that regard, chat. But yeah, it's just kind of weird when you say, oh, I'm definitely not transphobic. I'm just gonna misgender, or I'm just gonna like dead name a newly outed trans person and make an entire video like with that person's dead name in the title. Specifically about how we're losing young lost lesbians who I am no longer able to fuck because they are realizing that they are men. But I'm going to frame it as if they're being brainwashed, and that they're not actually men because that's the way that I'm able to justify my sexual attraction to them in my mind. Oh, and also I'm going to like feature like an article or a reference that like actually being trans is like a medical condition and that there's something wrong and that there's been malpractice committed against all trans people in the world, even though like the overwhelming amount of like medical consensus and evidence is that like, yeah, affirming trans people is fine and good and dandy. And actually it leads to like holistically like pretty damn good outcomes, as it turns out, which is pretty cool, all things considered. I fucking hate making videos about Arielle, but goddamn, the grift is strong with her.